Well, hello, and thank you so much for stopping by the In Tribe, a place for the inspired, thriving tribe. My name is Ciera Payton, and I am your host of the In Trive Talks. Now, this channel is all about sharing stories from inspiring and empowering people in hopes to help you along your creative journey. And today's video is no exception at all. But before we dive into today's guest, I need you to go ahead and do me a big favor and also do yourself a big favor and go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. Just hit it, hit it, hit it, hit it, hit it. Go ahead. All right. I know you're doing it. Cool. Thank you. All right. Well, today's guest is someone who I just love and adore. She has helped me so much along my journey in terms of health and food. And so I wanted to bring her on here so she can shed a little bit of light for you as well. But before we bring her on, I want to go ahead and read her bio so you can get to know her just a little bit before you hear from her. All right. Here we go. So, Jocelyn Harrison, MPH, RDN, considered food and nutrition a hobby until she lost a brother to a heart attack and another sibling receiving a diabetes diagnosis. She left a successful career in advertising and marketing to help create a world where it is easy for all people to make healthy food and lifestyle choices. She received a master's in public health from UCLA while completing a year-long dietetic internship at the VA Greater Los Angeles healthcare system. Her focus is on chronic disease prevention and management through individual counseling, nutrition classes, and better food policies. She has a thriving private practice as co-founder of Pacific Nutrition Partners and enjoys mentoring those interested in or entering the field of nutrition. Jocelyn's practice focuses on the critical role of diet when it comes to health. Her approach is holistic, helping clients harness the healing power of food to address health issues at their root cause. She specializes in digestive conditions like IBS and SIBO and is a FOD MAP trained dietitian. Her areas of expertise also include other chronic conditions like diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and autoimmune conditions, along with addressing mystery symptoms. So, without further ado, let's bring on Jocelyn Harrison. All right, awesome. Well, we just introduced you, Jocelyn, and so welcome to the In Tribe. Thank you so much for being here. How are you?
I'm great, and I'm super excited to be here. Thanks for inviting me to be on.
Yay! Well, I'm so excited to have you, and so I just want to dive in, and we're just going to do a few little icebreaker questions here, and then hear all about your journey and your story. So, for those of you who don't know Jocelyn, let's just get to know her a little bit more. All right. So, Jocelyn, I got to ask this because I love astrology and zodiac stuff. I'm not a, wizard at it, but I just love it. So what's your zodiac sign? Do you know your moon and your rising? The big three. What is it?
Okay. Given what you know about me, what do you think my zodiac sign is?
Oh gosh, that's such a, I love that because it can go one or two ways. You could be like, why would you get that? But I wonder if you're an earth sign because you do feel very grounded. You're very organized. You're very good at finances. And so we're in the month now, so you wouldn't be a Capricorn. But I wonder if you're either a Virgo or a Taurus. Those would be my...
Yes, good job.
Wait, which one are you?
I'm a Taurus.
Oh, nice.
I'm all about home, all about kind of creature comforts in a way.
Nice.
Food, exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I totally just took a stab at that. I didn't even know. So
great.
You named a few things. I like to ask too, are there any things that you've heard people say about Taurus that you find are true or not true, or, that you're like, yeah, that's me?
Yeah, I would say what I know is it's mostly me. My rising sign is Sagittarius.
Okay.
My North Node is in Scorpio. Obviously, I think that's the opposite of Taurus. So that's all I know about my astrology. Even though I have an astrologer that I see on once a year.
Really? All right. You're the second person that I've interviewed who has an astrologer. And so I feel like I got to get in on this because I just read stuff online and now I'm like, maybe I need to go to an expert because I'm really curious about that stuff.
It is really just about kind of curiosity, and the main thing I've gotten is the same person, and, I started going to him over 20 years ago,
Oh, wow.
and he's very good, and every time we've had a conversation, I've come away thinking, "Well, yeah, I knew that."
Yeah, exactly.
Because you know what's going on the inside, so it's really kind of a confirmation
hmm
of yeah, but the best part is asking about other people. Because it
Mm.
really like a whole different kind of insight into, like, your partner or, in my case, my child, like, the people that you're in close relationships with, so we digressed.
Yeah, no, I love it though. I love it. And it's funny because for a very long time I was surrounded by a lot of Taurus and I love Tauruses. And so I didn't know that you were Taurus. So anyway, learned something new today. I'm about to learn a lot about you, I feel like. So we're just gonna keep going here. Um, your upbringing, where are you from? Your parents' occupation. I just want to get a little bit of the background or a lot of the background, however much you're comfortable with sharing. But I just want to know a little bit about, where you come from and if your parents influenced you to go into nutrition at all.
Good questions. Okay, so I was born in Macon, Georgia.
Mm.
And I spent the majority of my life in Atlanta.
Mm.
My mother was an office manager, and my dad was a federal employee, like a lifetime federal employee. An interesting note about him, my parents were lifelong Democrats, unlike the South of today,
Mhm. Yeah.
can be very different. And my father, as part of his job, was assigned to go to Mississippi in like the 1960s to ensure fair voting.
Wow.
So, yeah. So, anyway, that's a little bit about my family. Other than the fact that I grew up with 7 brothers, no
Whoa.
sisters. So
Whoa.
that could have had a lot to do with my career path. Now, this is my second career. My first career was in advertising and marketing. Um, but I'd always I was a picky eater when I was a kid, but at some point I made the connection between like food and health. Like, wow, food can really make you feel good or feel bad. Like, and I was really tuned into that. So it was just a matter of time before it actually became my career. I've always been intensely interested in it.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, we are gonna get into that for sure, of just about your path into nutrition, and if you always thought that that's what you're gonna do. But before we go into that, I do want to just have an opportunity right now for you to tell us a little bit more about Pacific Nutrition Partners and what you do and services that you offer.
Yeah, so Pacific Nutrition Partners is a group of 6 registered dietitian nutritionists. We originally started being located, all of us, in the Los Angeles area. And during COVID, there's 6 partners, a couple of the partners moved, one to Portland, Oregon, and the other to Jersey Channel Island, where she grew up. That's right off the coast of France. It's kind of part of Great Britain.
Mm.
Anyway, and we really see clients for a variety of reasons. I mean, sometimes we call them patients because most of the people that we're working with have some type of illness or condition that they want to deal with. Yeah, and Pacific Nutrition Partners was really born out of the 6 of us were in school together. We were all second career and ages anywhere from like I think at the time that we started school, one of us might have been 26 or 27. Up to me, I was 51
Wow.
when I started. Was I
Nice.
50? No, I was 54 actually
Mm.
when I started. But women of all ages, all with previous careers, who felt like we were really being called to make a difference in the world through nutrition. So we really we bonded, and there was actually a bigger group. There were about 14 of us, and then 10 of us started talking about maybe one day we should open a business.
Mhm.
And it ended up 6 of us were really ready to do it at the time. And we launched Pacific Nutrition Partners in March of 2018. And to tell you the truth, 6 women, it has been a joyous ride, joyous for the 6 of us. We care about each other and we have each other's back, and we're really compassionate about where each of us are in our lives. And, like one of our partners who lives in Oregon has 2 small children, and there are a lot of things,
Mhm.
a lot of times she needs our support, and we're just more than happy to give it. That's just an example.
Oh, I love that. Oh, that's so cool. Oh my gosh. So knowing you and, just working with you and, just being a friend of yours, I know that you take more of a holistic approach, to nutrition rather than, by the book or, what's always written. Can you just talk a little bit about why you take that approach and, where does that come from?
Well, the primary reason is that, we have this medical model that you have these specific conditions. Most people are dealing with some type of chronic disease, whether it's an autoimmune issue or diabetes or high cholesterol, or even weight gain would be considered, a condition. Something is not working correctly in the body. And the medical model and also some kind of nutrition models are, let's treat the symptoms. And I'm all about, let's take a holistic approach and treat the actual cause. Because somebody has migraine headaches, digestive issues, and constantly gets UTIs and has acne is probably all the same root cause. So why
Mhm.
don't we just deal with everything holistically? People don't really realize the power of food. Food really is medicine, and it's very powerful. Yeah, so that's the reason
Yeah.
for a holistic approach.
It's so, I mean, I'm just thinking about that just from a personal standpoint. I think that tradition and culture and just kind of like where you come from, we all do and eat certain ways, because of what we've been taught for so long. But then when you talk about you have these different conditions or, just things going on with your body and you go and get it diagnosed, no one, a lot of times you're just like, when you get it diagnosed, it's like, here, take this pill. But no one's really saying, okay, what are you eating? What's your, mentality like? Are you taking time, to breathe, relax, or whatever, And so I just think I like that you take that approach and really just work with your clients and really discovering that and walking through with that. So it's really cool. So just wanted to speak on that. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there are like 4 pillars of health that you can control, like what you're eating, how physically active you are, your stress levels. You have to find ways to mitigate stress levels, and then the quality of your sleep. So, why wouldn't every medical doctor address those first? And that's really that's why people should go to a dietitian nutritionist and find somebody who can help them address those things first, because once you get those lined up, um, a lot of your symptoms fall away.
Hmm. For sure. For sure. So I want to listen to a little bit about your personal health journey and just how you came into going into nutrition. I know you talked about this is a second career for you, but what was it that made you, start thinking about personal health? And then not only that, but wanting to help other people as well.
When I told you when I was young, kind of made that connection between food and health.
Mhm.
I can remember at that time, people like my mother loved canned foods, canned peas, canned green beans, and we were all like, "Ugh." And I was like, I had read something, and I was like, "You should at least get frozen because frozen has more nutrients in it, and we need nutrients," and that was pretty young. And so over my life, I kind of stayed the course. I grew up in the South, a lot of vegetables, right? A lot of people like I mean, corn and okra and sweet potatoes and green beans and just greens, etc. And over time, I just watched my whole family, like, suddenly they're bringing potato salad to a big gathering from a grocery store.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah.
and I watched this real change to all these processed, foods that weren't homemade. And first of all, I hated it because I didn't like the taste. And
Hmm.
second, I was like, this cannot be good for you. So I just kind of stayed on that track over time. And then in 2010, my when my brother he passed away, he had a heart attack, and then I had another brother who was diagnosed with diabetes, and I was like, people are just living their lives, and they're getting sick from the environment. I mean, there's a certain amount of personal choice, but you'd have to make nutrition your primary interest in order to navigate the toxic food environment in in our society, and particularly in the US, where there are not a lot of rules and regulations about what goes into food that you would find in European countries, for
Mm.
instance. Um, so I thought, geez, something's wrong here, and I want to do something about it. So um, I ended up finding out that in order to be taken seriously, you know, throughout our culture as a nutrition expert, I needed to become a registered dietitian, and that became a 6-year journey. And I topped it off with my MPH at UCLA because public health adds the lens of looking at how populations are affected by decisions that are made, like about our food system and the food industry.
Yeah, man, that everything you said there just is so, I mean, it's so right on. I mean, you're making me think about just America versus other countries in terms of how we regulate, food. I mean, I took a trip to Europe, and I mean, I just remember I was like eating so much every day, but I felt so good. And then when I came back home and I started eating how I normally do, I was like, oh wait, I don't feel so good. And so I don't know, so many things have to change with that for sure because it, like you said, it's affecting entire populations. So
Okay, this is crazy. I have a brand new client I'm working with. For her job, she had to spend 6 weeks in Amsterdam. She has never really cared, paid much attention to like eating because she's on a career path and, you know, making sure she was eating all healthy meals was not a top priority. And so she might go to fast food restaurants, she might be getting the majority of her meals out.
mhm.
Um, and in the US, she was doing that. She was also working out at a gym. And then when she was in Amsterdam, she really didn't change the way she procured food at all.
Mhm.
They had McDonald's there. That was fine with her. And she did walk more, but she didn't go to a gym to exercise. And in 6 months, she lost a significant amount of weight
Wow.
and felt amazing like she hasn't felt in a long time. And she sought out um, someone, me, to find someone where she could go, what is going on here? And it's like, well, you know, in Europe, they have a lot of rules about what can go into food.
Mm. Gosh,
So,
I wonder, I mean, I know that there's so much legislation, but I mean, from your perspective, you know, and this is just definitely going on a tangent right now, but from your perspective, what are some things that people can do to really just kind of, I don't know, just adapt better ways so we won't fall into the health traps of eating a lot of food that has stuff in it that's just not healthy for our bodies or not good for our bodies.
yeah. Well, you have to, I mean, you have to read labels, really. That's like a primary thing. And the less food that you can eat that is made by other people, the better off you'll be. So you can also make your own food, which is time consuming.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
so everything being really convenient, that's a really hard one. But you can also read labels and look for if it has chemical ingredients, if there's a chemical name for an ingredient, it's not a whole food.
Mm-hmm.
And the nutrition science is just it is so known in terms of there's no disagreement amongst nutrition experts and nutrition scientists and public health professionals about a healthy eating pattern for human beings.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know it's like whole food from nature. We evolved eating fruits and vegetables. But we live in a culture that demonizes fruits as like, oh my God, that's too much sugar.
Yeah.
Or in a culture where, this is crazy, 97% of Americans get all of their protein needs met. They more than adequately meet all their protein needs. That means even the poorest of the poor are getting their protein needs met because we emphasize protein so much in this society that people are over consuming it and when you're over consuming protein, in the form of animals, and which is fine, but when you're over consuming it, you're not eating a lot of other things. And fruits and vegetables are really our medicinal foods.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've learned that over the years. I mean, I remember gosh, I don't even know, maybe about 10 years ago, I kept getting rashes and stomach issues and just all these things, and I just was looking I was just going from doctor to doctor trying to get help, and they just were like, "Oh, just take this pill," or, whatever. And I went to this one doctor at I believe it was at UCLA, and she was the first doctor that was like, "What are you eating?" And I was just like, "Oh, well, I had this, like, turkey sandwich," and she was like, "First of all, no. No, no." And I was and it just and I know that, again, like you said, there's no major disagreements with foods, and so, I wanna be really careful too because there's so many, people. I think everybody's body is different and people like what they like and stuff, and so I don't wanna put anything down, but I just remember that doctor was like, "First of all, like, where did you get the turkey from? Do you realize what's in that, the nitric acid and all this stuff?" And I was like, "What are you talking about? I never even heard of this." And then she was like, "The bread," and so she just started. And I was like, this is the first time I've ever had a doctor really talk to me about food, and so it just kind of blew my mind. And then I started diving into it. And so, yeah, I mean, there's just so much, I don't know, there's opinions, but then also I'm not sure, I don't know the statistics, but I feel like a lot of doctors aren't, you know, really trained to talk about, nutrition in a way of really analyzing what's in it and what their, patients and clients are going like putting into their body. So, yeah, I'm just parking on everything that you said because it's just so important and important to read the labels as well. I just remember growing up, no one ever tells you to do that. You're just like, all right, yeah, I like it. It's good. My mom ate it. My dad ate it. My grandma ate it. Cool. Like, but nowadays you have to have that consciousness and that awareness, in order to,
And
maintain your health.
yeah, and you're saying, my mom and dad ate it. Well, the slice of bread that your mother or your father ate is way different than what's in the store now. And
Hmm.
that's kind of like a little hidden part of it. We don't really recognize what's going on behind the scenes, but there's a lot. I mean, the food industry, we have to eat 3 times a day. The food industry is a gazillion-dollar business.
Yep.
And they're really not in business to make us healthy. They're in business to make money. And you think about a corporation that has to take an additional 10% profit to the bottom line year after year after year. Well, how do you increase profits? You lower expenses or you charge more. So they're doing both. So, how do you take bread and be able to produce it more cheaply than you did, the year before and the year before that? And so we've come up with all of these products that have been foundational products in our diet, and they're just made so cheaply. They have practically no nutrition. no nutrients in them, no real value.
Yeah.
They're just calories.
Yeah. Yeah. So true. I mean, my fiance, he's always like, he's all about raw, like raw broccoli, raw. And sometimes I'm like, I can't do the raw, but I get it. He's like, he's all about trying to get as much nutrients as possible. And I'm like, steam it for me, please, or something, I'm just like, but I know it's like, after you do all of that, there's really no nutritional value to it, but it tastes good. So.
Oh, there is. There is. There is. There actually is. I mean, there's value in cooked and, cooked food, cooked vegetables. I mean, the ability to or skill to cook food is or the I guess just the ability to cook food is what helped our, what we think helped our brains grow to
Yeah.
the point that, Homo sapiens really kind of evolved. Um, so, yeah, so cooked food is fine. I mean, kind of some metrics that we take a look at is the science is showing us that we want to make to be healthy and vibrant about 85% of the food we eat to come from plants.
Wow.
85%, anywhere from 85% to 100%, because people can have a 100% plant-based diet, which would be also known as vegan, because everything would come from plants. You could anywhere from 85 to 100% is kind of the healthy range of how many plants we should eat. And they can, that's fruits, vegetables, beans, legumes, nuts, seeds.
Mm.
Um, we're really looking at whole foods. And yes, people who want to eat animal protein, that fits into it. It just becomes a smaller portion of your overall diet because we're so over consuming protein.
Yeah, for sure. That's like, I mean, being vegan myself, it's the first thing that people ask whenever they find out that I'm plant-based. It's like, where do you get your protein? Like, and I'm like, I get it. I eat beans and I have my quinoa and stuff, but I don't feel protein deficient. So.
I'll tell you a secret. Like, this is something few people know. And it's a matter of science. Like, it's a fact. Every plant food contains protein, carbohydrates, and fat. Every single plant food contains all 20 amino acids. So we live in Los Angeles. We're like close to the best produce is grown like right outside our back door. That I think California produce feeds like 70% of the country.
Oh, wow.
Produce. I know it's
I
amazing,
had no
and it's
idea.
right here, and it's like really fresh and gosh, I'm losing my oh. So we eat such a wide variety. We have access to a wide variety, so we can eat a wide variety of plant foods. So we don't even have to worry about did I get my beans or my tofu. Seriously, we just
Wow.
need to eat a wide variety of plant foods and include nuts and seeds and beans and legumes and quinoa and oats. All of those have protein in them.
For sure. It
That,
yeah.
uh,
It's funny. It's the first thing people always ask, and I'm like, I'm fine, guys. I have enough protein, I promise, So, all right. Well, talking about, different diets, um, are there things that you're seeing, in the modern day diets or just any fads that you're seeing that you find fascinating or, you would advise clients to kind of steer away from? I want to hear your perspective and take on, some diet trends that you're seeing now.
I guess the it seems like the ketogenic or the keto trend is kind of wearing itself out. I certainly hope so, because making such a high percent of your diet come from fat or fat sources, there's very few nutrients in that. So
Mm.
that's one want to steer away from. Um, but I tell you what, there's a new one every single day, and my partners and I try our best to keep up with them, and there's just no way. It's just like you never know who's going to walk in the door and, what they've heard about food, because the information out there is crazy. It's just so if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. If it's over restrictive, or if it restricts a certain food group, forget about it. Um, don't don't go down rabbit holes on the internet. You're just going to get misled. Try to talk to a professional. If you really want to know like how to tune your personal eating plan in a very sustainable, lifelong way that's going to serve your health maximally, you want to get expert advice, because it's like the Wild West out there.
Yeah. And people take on diets for, I mean, from what I've seen from social media, a lot of times, a lot of diets are do this to lose weight, and instead, I don't know, I just from a professional, what would be the thing that you would tell, people that are just doing it to lose weight? I'm just curious about that. I have some thoughts, but I want to hear yours.
Well, as I mentioned before, if someone has started gaining weight and that seems, unusual or whatever, or maybe they started off as an overweight kid, we really want to address like really what's going on, underneath, like inside the body. We want to discover like what is not functioning as optimally as it should be and try to address that cause. But in terms of, I think your question is more like people who do the yo dieting or always feel like they're looking for that next diet. Diets don't work. They don't. If they worked, people wouldn't go from diet to diet. It's just like, and we know they don't work. And a really good trend is the anti-diet trend that's out there. There are a lot of facets to that, but the fact that, we're pushing back because that being on a diet destroys your relationship with food. And being a human being is one of the greatest joys is our relationship with food. And we get to eat something and we just feel so satisfied, like on an almost a soul level, right? It's like, and once you start dieting, you start chipping away at that relationship, and the end result of that could be a full-blown eating disorder, where your relationship with food is just so broken, you don't even relate to food like a human being would anymore, So, and there's so many parts of our culture that kind of put that emphasis on, being thin, etc. But someone who's thin might not be healthy. And what you really want is a healthy, robust life where you have energy to do all the amazing things that God put you here to do. And the way you feed yourself is eat lots of fruits and vegetables, right? And you get this high vibrational energy from the sun, and and you get all of the nutrients that you need for your body to heal and be as healthy as it can be.
Yeah. Oh, you're preaching over there, Jocelyn, because
I
yeah,
I
no, but it's so good. It's so good because yeah, like you said, I mean, it's just we have all these misconceptions of, a skinny body being healthy or an unskinny body not being healthy. And, I just feel like, a lot of with the TikTok and the Instagrams and stuff and the diet trends on there is all about trying to, get that hourglass shape or, try to be skinny, but it's not creating a real relationship with food or even a real relationship with, that person's body, and who they are. And so I love that, again, you take that approach of really digging down into what's really going on underneath the surface. And then how can we, implement foods that are going to really amplify, our longevity, our life, our energy, our light, So I love that. That's so good. So good.
Yeah, there's so many different aspects to it too, right?
For sure. For sure. All right. So speaking of fruits and vegetables and plant-based, we talked a little bit about, vegan and, and I'm not trying to say diet now because now we have the anti-diet going on, but I shared with you really, I started the plant-based journey in 2008, and it just was by happenstance. I had heard about I was going to a church and I heard about the Daniel diet, which is basically a vegan diet, and they did the challenge where everybody's going to do this for the month of January, and I was like, all right, cool, I'm game. And I did it, and I loved it. And then shortly after that, I started eating like roast beef and pork and chicken again. And I ended up in the emergency room. And I was just like, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to try to stay the course and, maybe be more vegetarian, eat chicken and fish here and there. But over the years, I just really started being like, oh, I just really like fruits, veggies, grains, stuff like that. And so I'm just curious, have you had any clients kind of come to you seeking guidance on how to implement a plant-based diet after, you know, exploring how other foods or non-plant-based foods affect their bodies? And if so, what are some things that you work with them on, or how do you guide them, to, just make the right choices or just the choices that work best for them?
Yeah. So, gosh, there's so much to
I
unpack
know,
in that.
right? Right?
First one I want to address is, you were asking me about trends. A whole food plant-based diet is a trend I wholeheartedly adopt.
Mm,
And that nomenclature, whole food plant-based, was really designed because people could say, vegan, but their diets weren't based in whole food. And vegan is really about what you're not eating. And so
mhm.
the idea was, let's call it whole food plant based. So people know that you're going to eat a lot of plants and they're going to be whole foods. You're going to go to the produce section and you're going to pick up a potato and an apple and some green beans, as opposed to, something that's packaged or processed like, snap pea chips or something
Mhm.
like that. So that's because a lot of people could walk in the door and say, I'm a vegan, and actually have a very, very unhealthy diet. So that's kind of and whole food plant based, for some people, it does mean no animals. But for others, it could mean, like you're talking about, it's not really a diet. It's really just kind of an approach to eating that's long term sustainable, that's going to be good for your health, is also good for the environment. And the recommendation is about, can I share my screen?
Yeah, you can. Mhm.
Okay, I'll show you this. I want to show you the Canadian plate. Um,
Ooh.
this is actually the Canadian healthy plate. And I think it's great because it takes in all the science,
Wow.
and it's basically saying that, you need to have at least half of your food from whole. I mean, all of everything on here is a whole food, with the exception of a couple of things: the
Mhm.
pasta, the bread, the yogurt, and the tofu. Those are processed foods because they've been altered from their, whole original form. So this is what it means to eat whole foods. And you can see them. And what's genius about this is that they gave you examples of what goes into each category. And so these are all examples of
Mm.
fruits and vegetables. These are some examples of protein-rich foods. And obviously, the plate is not big enough to put every example, but
Mhm.
we do give representatives like fruit, like nuts and seeds and beans and peas. And then these are examples of starches. That's my word, not the Canadian healthy plate. But
Mhm.
the emphasis is to choose whole grains. And this is kind of the proportion of how you would put together the volume of food that you eat in a day. You'd make about half of it fruits and vegetables, a quarter of it protein foods, and based on how active you are, a quarter of it starches or whole grains.
That looks so good.
I know, and look, there's no dairy on this plate. Canada has a national health system, and so that they do not have industry influencing what goes on into the nutrition guidelines. 65% of the population of the world is lactose intolerant.
Mhm.
And so it doesn't make sense for national guidelines to be that you need to drink milk they're just trying to figure out a good way for people to get calcium, but leafy greens have tons of calcium. You can get
Yeah,
calcium food on this plate.
for sure.
I'm gonna stop.
Thank you for sharing that. Oh,
Isn't
that's
that
so good.
cool?
It is. I just that's what I'm saying. Why do the other countries, why do they have it all figured out? It's like I mean, I love our country and everything, but sometimes I'm just like, okay, well, I wanna get that European diet. It's like
Like the more like you're doing it, you're helping because the more that people are aware. So all of this starts with awareness. I mean,
Mhm.
start connecting the dots. We're running into to like kids that are 9, 10, 11, 12 getting type 2 adult
Yeah.
onset diabetes. I mean, do you know anybody that is not dealing with a condition, whether it's an autoimmune disease or some type of metabolic issue like high cholesterol or weight gain or high blood sugars or high blood pressure? It's
Yeah.
like let's connect the dots. We are need to be aware, and then we need to ask for different products and service as far as that's concerned. It's like, no, this is not working. Stop it. We don't
For
want
sure.
that in our.
Are you seeing you also we talked a little bit earlier when we were talking about, oh, my parents ate that or my grandmother ate that. But it's those foods aren't the same foods now. Are you seeing a lot of your clients steering away from stuff like gluten or wheat, or having, issues with, you know, gluten, wheat, celiac? Are you seeing any of that? And what do you think is the cause of that? Um,
So they're really, I mean, so one of my specialties is GI. Lots of people are dealing with different types of GI issues and more every day. And there's some foods that are actually inflammatory that we have been able to see, cellularly what's going on someone's system when they're exposed to dairy products, any dairy from any mammal, other than breast milk, but
yeah.
dairy, um, eggs, gluten, soy. I think those are kind of like, and then I guess another one would be corn. I mean, all you have to
Mhm.
do is look at the biggest allergens, the foods that most people are allergic to, and there's some type of inflammation that that food is creating. What I've noticed more and more is that so many more people are gluten sensitive. They might not have full on celiac, but boy, can they tell a difference if they remove gluten from their diet. And, you know,
Yeah. And I
that's
mean, my journey with that, I just remember researching just the actual, gluten molecule has been modified so much over the years, or just wheat in general, that a lot of people's bodies don't even recognize it. What, like you were saying, what our parents used to eat, we can't eat that now because it's been so genetically modified that when it comes into the body for some people, it's like the body's like, what the heck is this? And it's yeah, I had to cut it out because I was like, I can't deal with this sickness anymore with eating that. So
why it would be really detrimental. So, we have to think about a lot of the other environmental factors that we're exposed to on a daily basis that are really kind of tearing down our human organism.
mm,
Um, when we think about, the air that we breathe and all the chemicals that have been created, all the plastics, et cetera, that happened, since World War II, like they're like in excess of 200,000 new chemicals, like in the world that human beings have, created and brought into the world. And they're all a part of our environment, all the plastics that we're, surrounded by, all the pesticides and herbicides. And we live in a chemical soup that we were not designed to live in. And so it could just be as much the impact of that kind of chemical soup on our bodies like, for instance, smelling scented candles, or what drives me crazy are the commercials about Gain, and it's the scent. That's 100% chemicals. Your liver actually has to filter that, and then the body can really start not functioning properly. It's like, I've heard it said, a death by 1,000 cuts, which it does seem like that's what it is.
Gosh, so what do we do? What do we do?
We have to be aware of it, and we have to, like, figure out ways to make sure that we only have control over so much, but we can control what we can control. I mean, it could be people could easily just stick their head in the sand and move on, and not everybody has to be a zealot about it like we are, you know. But the more people that are aware and that go, this is not right. I mean, look, we're polluting our planet, the oceans, the air, the waterways. It's going to have an impact on us physically at some point. And I think that point's here.
Yeah, for sure. Oh,
I mean,
Jocelyn.
I feel like I'm being a Debbie
No, you're
Downer.
not. You're not. It's important to have these conversations and to just bring awareness to the people that are listening to this because yeah, I mean, we only have one planet. We're a part of this whole thing. And I mean, it really does take just an individual, effort, no matter how big or small it is to just make a change. And you can start that with your body. You can start that with your home. You can start that with your environment. And so, yeah, I think, nothing's too small, and so but having the awareness for sure is definitely, key. So thank you. No Debbie Downers here. It's all good stuff. So,
And
yeah.
thank you for saying, just do one thing.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Because life is complicated, and a lot of us are just trying to survive, make it from day to day and deal with work and relationships or raising children or, our careers or whatever. And it's just like I said, I knew my family that was getting sick on this road that we were going down. It wasn't their fault, it's such a much bigger picture. But the
Yeah.
more people are aware of it, then, maybe the more people will say, I'm not going to take it anymore.
Yeah. It's just making me, I have so many other questions, but, it's just making me think too about just the correlation of food and culture and tradition. I mean, you're from Georgia, I'm from New Orleans, and I know food is such a huge part of our cultural identity. And I do think that, yeah, we have to take, just ownership and responsibility of like what are some other ways that we can make this food that's not gonna cause diabetes or heart disease or like spike up our blood pressure. How can we do that? And it's a lot of people aren't ready for those conversations. I feel like it's a hard thing because our identities are so attached to the generations of eating the way that we've eaten for so long. So yeah, it's interesting. I'm thinking as you're talking about all this, it's just these are tough conversations to have, I think, for a lot of people, or to really just peel
Yeah.
the rose colored glasses off and talk about. But there's definitely ways to, make food and make good food. Yeah.
I actually found a way to make great cornbread.
Nice.
I mean, there are ways to make macaroni and cheese, there are ways to make greens where you're not using fat back, or like my mother used to keep a container of bacon fat
Yep.
on the stove. And then anytime we made any kind of vegetables, a spoonful of bacon fat would go into that.
Yep.
I'm still paying the price for those kind of,
Yeah.
those kind
It's
of,
hard. It's hard sometimes, but it doesn't have to be.
and I've been able to morph recipes over the years, to like get those soul enriching, delicious things into my life on a more regular basis, but I would certainly never rule them out. Like if I went to a family gathering today and they had the whole, Southern thing laid out, I'm going to eat, I'm going to eat some of it. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's all about keeping things in proportion. Like that's not something I'm going to do every day.
Exactly. For sure. So I
Mhm.
have a question, and then we're going to go into the rapid fire questions. But, we're at the top of the year. It's a new year. And, a lot of times people are making, New Year's resolutions or wanting to, change some lifestyle things. And in terms of, diet or food, what is your advice, that you would give to someone who wants to start just a new food journey, a new health journey, in terms of what they're consuming? What would be a first step advice that you would give?
I I love this first step, and it can be two steps, but it would be to aim best you can to eat 2.5 cups of fruit and 3 cups of vegetables a day. I really like the additive approach. This is about getting in those foods that you really, really need on a deep cellular level for good health. And really, I mean, kind of the research has shown that people who eat 5 cups of fruits and vegetables a day, every day, have good baseline health. This is just, big epidemiological studies. It's not, every individual is different. So this is
Mhm.
just taking thousands and thousands of participants in research and like looking at what they mostly do. But they also found that people who ate 11 cups of fruits and vegetables a day had better health outcomes than
Wow.
people who ate. But
Whoa.
I say start with 5.5. I like 2.5 cups of vegetables, 3 cups of, 2.5 cups of fruit, 3 cups of vegetables a day.
Are there, I'm asking for a friend, with fruits, are there any particular ones? I like to eat blueberries every day. That's like my jam, but are there any particular fruits that you would recommend?
Every fruit is its own little package of amazing, incredible healing nutrients, vitamins, minerals, plant compounds called phytochemicals that include antioxidants and all these other kind of chemicals that really help us thrive. And they're excellent for a good water source, watery fruit. Um, and protein, carbohydrates, and a little bit of fat. You're going to mostly get carbohydrates, but those you need the sugars in the fruit to deliver all of those amazing nutrients into your cells. So there are no fruits are off the table. They're all on the table. They're all excellent. Eat a wide variety.
All right. You got my mouth watering now. As soon as we're done, I'm gonna go eat an apple because I got some Granny Smith apples downstairs. So yeah.
Apple a day really is key. Like that's a true thing. An apple a day keeps the doctor away.
All right. I love that. But it's true. I feel like my dad always says that. So it's true. All right. Well, let's go ahead and dive into these rapid fire questions. So basically, I have 5 of them, and if you could try to answer them in a few words or a sentence, or just whatever the first thing that comes to your mind, and yeah, we're gonna rock it out. So, all right. So, what is your favorite cheat meal?
Oh, I hate the idea of cheat meals,
I know.
but kind of like my favorite, you know, uh, thing that I would just pizza. I make it
Mm.
myself.
Pizza's so
Yeah,
good.
it's very satisfying. Pizza is
Yeah,
very
we won't
satisfying.
call it a cheat meal. I probably should have said comfort meal or fun
Yes,
meal. So,
no cheating. There's
no
no being
cheating.
on the wagon or off the wagon.
Yeah. We're cruising with the wagon. Let's just say that. So, all right. If you weren't working in nutrition, what else would you be doing?
Oh my gosh. I would be doing anything in public health. I would be advocating for cleaner water, cleaner air, anything.
All right. In your own words, I want my clients and everyone looking to change their lifestyles to practice a little more blank.
Compassion for themselves. You're on a journey. You just set your intention and you will walk in that direction. It's as simple as that. There's no perfection. It's just setting an intention and making progress.
Nice. All right. Fill in the blank. Every body, like body, is blank.
Perfect and whole.
I like that.
And I'm going to add it, and waiting for you to provide it with what it needs.
I love that. I love that. All right. And then the last one is, what's your favorite food, herb, plant, grain, protein? Any one of those you can answer, but what is your favorite food? And I broke it down into those different categories.
Food is my life. I couldn't pick a favorite. It would be impossible. There's just no way. Okay, I'll pick a favorite.
Okay.
Leafy greens. I have turned into I think I'm a rabbit. I love lettuce. I love butter lettuce. I love the way it's on arugula, where you can just pick up a handful and stick it in your mouth. I know I have jumped the shark completely.
No, I'm right there with you. Butter lettuce is so good. I love it. So. All right. Awesome. Well, Jocelyn, thank you so much for joining. Before I let you go, can you please tell people where to find you, your website, social media handles, whatever else?
Yeah. So I'm Jocelyn at pacificnutritionpartners.com. Our company is Pacific Nutrition Partners. We're online. We have a website, and you can find us there. I mean, we do have Facebook and Instagram, but you go look for us online.
All right. Awesome. Oh, Jocelyn, this is so wonderful. Again, thank you so much for coming on to the In Tribe. I so appreciate you. And I'm sure everyone will get so much value from listening to all of the nuggets of knowledge that you drop. So thank you.
Thank you, Ciera.
All right. Take care. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Whoa, what an amazing conversation. I mean, seriously, I could have stayed on there for another hour or two because Jocelyn was dropping some knowledge, and I hope it was helpful for you. So if you want to find out more about Jocelyn, go ahead and hit the links that are listed down below in the description box. And if you want more content, be sure to visit theintrive.com. Look, we got some more articles there, more videos, but we also have a membership, courses, and events coming up. And all you have to do is just go over to the site and check it all out. So I'll be looking forward to seeing you over here at the In Tribe, and also looking forward to seeing you at the next video. But until then, keep thriving, stay inspired, and I love you, and I will see you soon. All right, take care. Bye.